What is up, racing and roller coaster fans? I am Jason Burgos for Sportsnaut, and I have the pleasure of being joined by a man of many racing and business talents. He's a veteran of NASCAR. He's a veteran NASCAR driver who has competed in the Cup Series, Xfinity, Truck Series. He's a co-owner of Fast Motorsports, and you can now add roller coaster boss to his diverse resume, and that is the one and only BJ McLeod. Senor McLeod, thanks for the much time today.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me on, and that was quite the intro, so it should be a fun interview.
I'm just stating facts. You know, you are a diverse man with doing a lot of things, a lot of stuff going on. So first, let's talk about your latest off-track venture, the Pigeon Forge Racing Coaster in Tennessee. Talk to me about what makes this roller coaster different than others and why it would appeal to like a NASCAR fan and somebody who maybe doesn't watch NASCAR.
Yeah, I mean, first off, it's the first racing Alpine coaster in the world. So you don't see that anywhere you go. And for people that are watching that are listening that aren't familiar with Alpine coasters. So roller coasters are your typical theme park roller coaster. It's on a rail, it's propelled. You have no control whatsoever. Some of it is gravity fed, but it's always off of inertia that keeps it operating, right? So with the Pigeon Forge Racing Coaster, it's an Alpine coaster that actually operates fully on gravity once you're pulled to the top. We have a system, it clicks in, you go up the hill, when you get to the top, you hear it click off, and then you're on your own. So the only part that's guided for you is the rail itself. There is automatic GPS braking if somebody was to pass out or have an issue of some sort to keep you safe, but you have control up to, I believe it's 33.4 mile an hour in some sections. So it's really cool that you get to do this and control the ride yourself. What sets ours apart is there's never been one with dueling tracks. So we have the first coaster in the world that's Alpine that has dueling tracks where you can go race your daughter, your son, your husband, your wife, anybody. You can go over there and try to race them and get an accurate time at the bottom. We have a timing scoring system that lets you know your actual times through the different sections. And it's really cool to have the competitive side. That's the first thing that sets us apart. Really for Jessica and I, it was making sure we were Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, Sevierville enthusiasts, tourists before we ended up in business over there. And we actually bought property over there in a cabin for us 5 years ago. And we loved going, but one thing we didn't love was standing in line in the weather. So it's either really hot or really cold. And Pigeon Forge is a very popular place. So anything that is fun to ride, there's usually a line, right? So, we thought when we built this one with our partners, we're like, we want to make sure that the tourist side, which in this situation was what Jessica and I are familiar with, was 100% a grade 10 of 10. And that's what we set out to do. So we can we can fit roughly 150 people somewhere. I don't have an exact number, but in line inside, air conditioned, climate controlled scenario. So that's the only coaster over there that has that access for that many people. And we just really focused on making it very convenient for the families to come buy tickets. We put a lot of thought process into the lines and where they would be and just the convenience of the ride itself. And it being the newest Alpine coaster over there, obviously being the newest comes with newer technology. And there's just things we've been able to do to set us apart that you have to come check it out to see. But the other part of it is we were very fortunate to have the only, view of the parkway from our coaster of any of the Alpine coasters from this section of the parkway. So when you go to the top of ours, you don't have to race down it. You could go slow and just look at the view, and it's absolutely incredible at night, and it's absolutely incredible during the day. At night, you get to see all the lights of the town, and it's really impressive. But then during the day, you can see the mountain lines, and they go forever over there. So it's really cool to be able to do that also. So it really hit a lot of different awesome points for tourists to be able to come have fun. And we have a lot of locals that ride it, they ride it weekly sometimes. So it's been a lot of fun to get it open and see all of that.
So this isn't for those crazies out there that want to go like 12 stories in the air, then drop and spin and turn around. This is more family friendly fare, maybe a little competitive kind of stuff.
Yeah. So we actually are the top of our coasters about 25 to 30 stories above the parkway. The high elevation, I think, is 380 feet. and it falls all the way down to around 100, somewhere in that area. So it is quite thrilling when you go see it. It's two different sections. You're over 80 feet off the ground with nothing but a lap belt holding you in a cart.
Wow.
And the cart feels smaller than you, even though it's not. When you look over, you're like, all I see is air and ground, right?
Yeah.
So I agree, and I would say it's nothing like riding, Fury 360 at Carowinds in North Carolina, or the Hulk or Secra in Florida. But it's extremely thrilling for an Alpine coaster, and has a couple of sections that I would venture to say we get higher off the ground than the majority of Alpine coasters. I don't know the facts on it, but we definitely have two different spots that you're pretty high up in there, and it feels a little edgy. And I've done some crazy stuff, so it's entertaining for sure.
You've done well for yourself in racing as a driver, as an owner. I know you've had other businesses outside sport, real estate and stuff like that. You could get into a lot of different businesses. Why the Pigeon Forge roller coaster? Like, do you just see a ton of potential in it? And it's the kind of thing like, okay, we want to go beyond this, and we'd like to have similar, facilities in other states.
Yeah, I mean, first off, everybody wants to be in business to make money, right? And I want to genuinely answer this, that Jessica and I's first thought of this was not about what it can make or how much it can make. It obviously, you have to make sure that it doesn't cost you money. But when we sold the charter and went to part-time in 2023, the end of 2023, started 24 that way, it was like, it's a big void. You're used to going to the racetrack 38 weeks a year and chasing that. And we've been doing it for 2 decades, with me working and doing everything before we owned teams. We knew that we needed some excitement, and we needed something other. Very thankful to be in real estate, and it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of deals that keep you on edge, and it's awesome, and we love businesses in general, but to do something that comes close to filling the void of being a full-time NASCAR team, you need something different, right? And it also needs to be an unusual business, right? Something that's not too common. And her and I both thought this Pigeon Forge is the area. We love the area, and we like to go there and spend time, and we want a business to check on when we're there. I mean, it was as simple as that for the area. So we thought a little bit, about 2 weeks maybe, and I told her, I was like, I always wanted to own something to do with the amusement area or realm or sector, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Just because I grew up in Central Florida, and I had Busch Gardens and Islands of Adventure and Disney World, and I had all of those within an hour and a half of my house or closer, right? So seeing that stuff as a kid, and being fortunate my parents owned a business when I was little, and just getting to see, you can go out and you can own a business and do things and see how it's different. I was like, I go to the theme parks and I'm like, wow, it'd be really cool to own one of these one day. And that's like 9 years old. Like, I mean, we're talking seriously a kid. And in the kids, you don't realize they cost billions of dollars, right? So I, obviously was never able to be able to have a whole amusement park on my own or anything like that. But when we sold the charter, it became a reality that we could definitely own some kind of amusement attraction. And I was 100% headed that direction. I didn't know if it was going to be mini golf, an Alpine coaster, go-kart track. Like, I just wanted to make people smile and break even or make some money and keep doing it. Like, that's just because of the value of it. Like, I've told Sonia this and some other people, it's fun. I like to go over there and sit. We have an outside patio area to relax, like before or after. Because what's the funnest thing to do after you race or you do something competitive is to sit down and talk to whoever you raced or whoever you enjoyed the experience with and just hang out. So we set up a lot of picnic tables. We probably got capacity for 30, 40 people comfortably out there, maybe even more. And I went there and sat, when we first opened it, I went every day and sat for a couple hours, and people didn't know I owned it. They didn't. Every now and then somebody'd say, hey, you're in racing, like, are you BJ, like that kind of thing. But very rarely, like, I had at least an hour and a half every day where I wasn't recognized. And I got to just listen to genuine reactions of people getting off, not reviews on the internet or, a comment box of what we can make better, like legitimate experiences, and getting to see the thrill on the kids' faces, the families' faces, listening to them talk to one another about who beat who, and just the banter that would go on. And out of all the conversations, the only 2 things I heard negative were I had 2 people mention that they felt a little nauseous, and I'm like, perfect. Like we got it just thrilling enough that not everybody gets sick, but you know what? If you push it hard enough, you might feel a little nauseous. So it was really the perfect review, sitting there and listening to it for real with live reactions from people getting off the ride. And for me and Jessica, it was putting that value out there of making people laugh and have fun, and knowing that in 5 years, those kids are going to remember that experience, possibly even 10, 15, 30, like that, you don't know. So it's a life experience to come ride the Pigeon Forge Racing Coaster. And the fact that we were able to be part of making that happen is a lot of value on our side.
Now, I want to get your thoughts, expertise as a driver, team owner, and coach. There are rumors that Cup drivers may be allowed to race more in Xfinity and truck in the future more than they are allowed to now, even though there's kind of like this belief maybe that like Xfinity and truck, the talent, there's a talent gap when it comes to the Cup drivers. First, do you agree with that? Is there a big skill gap between them? And what do you feel that is? Like what has to be done on the lower level so you can have more of these Xfinity truck drivers that are just as good and even get into Cup Series and have immediate success?
I absolutely love this question. It's a fun one. And you're the first one I get to answer it for. So there is a raw talent that happens when you just get in a car and you start driving and you're faster than the next person. Okay, that happens. And I believe the raw talent in some of Xfinity drivers is just as equally as good as Cup drivers, as in truck drivers. And there's super late model drivers in the country that have the exact same amount of raw talent as Kyle Larson. Okay, let's say, because he arguably is the best that's out there right now. So I believe that raw talent, a lot of people possess. It's about finding it and getting to the level that you can make a living with it. It's very difficult, right? So once you take the raw talent side out of it and look at, is there a difference in racing talent, that being experience at NASCAR tracks, experience with green flag stops, experience with the distance of a Cup race versus an Xfinity race, experience with the difference in the level of competition from first to last in truck, Xfinity, and Cup, miles different, right? So when you put all of those things into perspective, there's a huge gap between truck, Xfinity, and Cup, right? So I am a believer that if you look back when we had Cup drivers in the sport, your Xfinity drivers that moved out of, when you had Cup drivers racing in Xfinity and truck, when the drivers that were racing against them in Xfinity and truck moved up, they were automatically better quicker. I believe the new rules of, as in the last 5 or 6 years, where Cup drivers are limited in the amount of races they can run, it's really deterred a lot of them away, and it's hurt sponsorship deals to where they can't do it. I feel like that's hurt the talent level of the people in Xfinity and truck for being able to develop correctly to be able to move to the Cup Series. So I'm a firm believer in, if Kyle Busch or let's say another one, Kevin Harvick used to do it all the time, right? Those two, if they wanted, which Kevin's retired now, but let's say that if Kyle Busch is willing to come out of his, $2.5 million bus with his salary paid and go risk his life on a Saturday for 2.5 hours for our entertainment, let's let the guy do it. As many races as he wants, and be thankful that someone as good as him has the passion to come out and put a show for us on Saturday, right? Like, I don't understand, and no racer, any racer in the Xfinity Series, any driver, I guarantee you ask any of them, they want to race the Cup drivers. Because every real racer knows the only way you get to be the best is to race with the best, right? And when you start looking at the business side of it, I mean, it's going to take wins away from Xfinity drivers, no doubt. Like, it's going to take a lot of wins away, probably. Justin Allgaier can compete with any of them. I'll say it right now. Like, he's in Xfinity, he can outrun any Cup driver that's there or race with them, no problem at all. So it's going to change some of the wins, right? But it's going to elevate the whole series if they let Cup drivers come back, because on the other side, it's a Cup driver. They're already successful. The ones that are wanting to do it are definitely successful. And when they come down and run an Xfinity or truck, it brings more sponsorship dollars either to Xfinity, truck, or Cup. It's just a package, right? Because we're putting on more of a show. We're putting on more of entertainment. So I feel like it helps the whole sport. And that's probably why we've seen some headlines where NASCAR is looking at it. They've seen it, they tried it, and they've realized that it's kind of, the Xfinity Series and Truck Series is very competitive right now. A lot of great drivers. But it is definitely not like it was 10 years ago when you had 12 Cup teams racing in Xfinity with 12 Cup drivers. And yes, that hurts small teams like I own, right? That was difficult for us. It basically barred us to a 20th place finish on the best day we could ever dream of. But we were racing against the best. I never complained. I enjoyed it. And that's the way I would like to see the sport, even when I owned it.
And then you might have kind of already answered the second question, because I was going to ask, talking with like a coworker from the job and at Sportsnaut, and they were making a point that there's maybe a thought process that maybe there's the drivers in truck are even more skilled than Xfinity, and they may have a better chance at next level. And I was going to ask, because Xfinity's doing their ratings are improved now in CW, and I was going to ask, what do we need to do to help truck get even further, even more popular? But would you say it's pretty much what you said? Getting more Cup drivers in the truck would also help truck as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to hurt. Okay, I would be cautious to say how much it'll help the actual sport itself. What it'll do is help the drivers in the sport be better. And then, not that they're all great. Corey Heim, in my opinion, right now, can win a Cup race tomorrow. Like I truthfully believe that he's experienced enough. He, in the right situation, with the right things going his way, he could win. And that's all truck experience. He's run a couple Xfinity races and he's done very well in them. But I think you can definitely develop in trucks. The racers in trucks are very difficult. Like there's some great drivers and some great competition there. I think I look at it more as allowing the Cup drivers to race in trucks and Xfinity to help the fans at home that only watch on Sunday, because there are some of them. There's at least 1 million of them, right? Maybe more. I believe that puts more eyeballs on the drivers that are in Xfinity and in truck, and therefore they can show a better return for the partners that they have on their cars, because the Cup drivers are showing up on Saturday, and their fans are showing up on Saturday also to watch that respective series, right? So I think that without a doubt it elevates it all, and most importantly, it develops our drivers better for their first racing Cup, because Cup is another level, man. I've done it since 2015. My best finish is 7th. I've only got 2 or 3 top 10s, and I've never quit. But man, I haven't seen the success I want. Trust me, I know how hard it is.
Speaking of the Cup Series, next gen car has been a source of a lot of debate, fans and drivers. You've driven them. You've driven the cars before that, the previous generation. Like, what do you feel are the pros and cons as a driver, and do you prefer next gen or the one previous?
Yeah, I think there's different ways to answer the question, because I'm multiple people in one body. I'm an owner, I'm a driver, I'm a real racer, and I'm a businessman. So it gets confusing. But to answer it as a real racer, just a driver, no owner, nothing involved, no money, just thinking about pure awesomeness, right? I don't think anything will ever beat the 2000 series car. Like this, I think it's Gen 4 is what they called it. 2000 to maybe like 2004. You're sitting at 1,000 horsepower. You're sitting at 9,500 to 10,000 RPMs, a sound that's unparalleled. Like the car had a ton of downforce, really cheated up bodies, window openings that if the car rolled over, the driver couldn't get out. Incredibly unsafe stuff, right? I don't think anything is ever going to beat that, because we like our drivers and we're trying to keep them around. So the driver area has gotten larger to be safer. Can't put the old body on the new frame, right? So when you take that out of it, nothing in my mind beats the next gen car. It's absolutely the best stock car I've ever been in. It is the fastest stock car that I've been in. I love, F1 and looking at their cars and how fast they are. And I love the technology that goes in them. I don't like ABS or traction control or any of that stuff. I think it's useless, but it's cool looking at the technology that goes into an F1 car. And even though the next gen car is a stock car and it is very high, very high center of gravity and very heavy, and it's not maxed out performance wise by no means, but it's still the best, fastest NASCAR vehicle that we've had that's safe for the drivers, right? So I feel like the next gen was a huge improvement for the driver. They are more difficult to drive than the cars I mentioned, than the previous car that I drove. I even drove those old cars back in the day. But they're the most difficult stock car I've ever sat in. They have such a fine line level of grip. And with the Cup Series, you have to be on edge every single lap for 4 hours. It's hard for a human not to make a serious mistake in 4 hours. Everybody does, right? Just try to walk down the road straight for 4 hours. You're going to step left and right at some point. Well, NASCAR drivers are asked to drive for 3.5 to 4 hours in 140-degree heat, without making a mistake. And the next gen car makes that really difficult. So
Hmm.
I think it's great for our fans from that perspective. I think it's awesome for our drivers, and business wise, it was a big expense up front, but it is way, way cheaper long run, dodging R&D costs and just, really material costs long term for the business owners. You need less cars. The most important thing for NASCAR is making sure that we don't ever end up with rules that we need different cars for different tracks. The first year in existence, maybe first, could have been second, Ross Chastain won COTA and then turned around and won Talladega with the same car. The previous generation Cup car, you couldn't even have passed Tech with a car at Talladega that you wanted with it at COTA. Okay. So it's been some really good improvements in certain ways. And, and then there's some question with short track racing, is it boring, or, is this racing, gotten boring or whatever? Like, there's always things to make better because the competition gets better. The teams get better. They figure out how to manipulate stuff and make things faster. And it's like, it's just an ongoing process that we always have work to do to keep our product entertaining. But no matter what, the next gen car has been a positive for us.
Katherine Legge is a driver on your team, and you're serving as like a mentor for her, transition from IndyCar and other stuff she's driven to NASCAR. So she already had 2 decades of driving experience. So what is like the coaching like with someone that has that level of experience? Is it a thing where she kind of knows how to drive a car clearly, and you just kind of need to coach her up on specifics that makes NASCAR different than what she's done before? Or is it kind of like going from boxing to mixed martial arts? And while she has that base of driving skills, there's a ton difference that, you really need to learn to succeed in this sport.
Yeah, there's absolutely a mile of stuff that is different. But the way I've approached Katherine is not from a driver coaching standpoint. I've just tried to help her. So personally, I've put myself in a position because she's driven IndyCar and she's, she won one race, a while ago. And the most impressive thing to me is she made the Indy 500 4 different times, right? And it's like, that's just incredible, in my opinion. That track's incredibly hard to get around. It's really, really edgy and qualifying, and she mastered it. So with her, I took the approach, when I was trying to help her, I would just look at it like, what would I want to know from her if I was getting an IndyCar? Because I have no IndyCar experience. I've always had passion for the sport and love IndyCar, right? So I thought, you know what? Let me just tell her what I would want to hear if I was getting in an IndyCar. So basically, I would go from point A to like literally getting out of the garage. Which way do we drive to get on the track? Because people never think about that. It's incredibly hard. Like you come down pit road and you're like, where do I turn? There's like 4 different openings, right? So just stuff as simple as that. I tried to make sure that she knew it before she got in the car, and missing shifts and what the rev limiter is, and just literally the nuances of our sport. Because like you said, it is like switching professional fighting careers, right? Like it is very, very different. Like the cars are nothing alike. They do have a similar edge feeling between IndyCar and Cup. It's just the Cup car gets to its edge a lot quicker than an IndyCar. So I felt like I just approached it with, let me tell her what I've done wrong, right? Then let me tell her what I would want to hear if, I was going over to her profession. And I've tried to use my 160 or 70 Cup races to help speed up her learning curve. And I believe if she was on here, she'd tell you that we helped her do that, right? And that's our job. Like, that's what we do. And she's done a phenomenal job getting up to speed. And, the results she's gotten for some of these races is just incredible. And for me, her making her way into the Chicago race, the Chicago street race, that'll always be one of the coolest moments, for our team. And really it's a cool moment for NASCAR because she set some records that day, and she did it by earning it. She hit the wall too. Everybody's like, oh, the 67 bumped the wall. Katherine had 3 bent toe links. Like when she was done with qualifying, 3 toe links had to be replaced, right? Wow. And it's like she was in the same boat. She just kept digging. Like she never quit. So I was super proud of her, and I'll remember that forever. So it was really cool.
Speaking of like development, you mentioned in like a previous interview recently, you want Live Fast to kind of be like a springboard for drivers to even bigger opportunities. Does that put like even more importance on Katherine's development and success? Because if she does well, it sends a message to all these drivers on the way up. Like, I should go to Live Fast. They can make me a better driver, and I could be a star, and I can get to the top with their help.
Yeah, I mean, with the year we've had with Katherine, thankfully, she's given us the opportunity to prove that Live Fast can be a stepping stone for a winning Xfinity or Truck Series driver, or a winning Trans Am driver, or winning road course racer in another profession that wants to come over and race at Cup. We can be that stepping stone and that area to get your wits about you because of our series being different, and learn the nuances of our sport with a team that is known that it's not a winning team, right? Like we bring a competitive race car, we bring a safe race car, we bring a solid race car, but it's known where Live Fast has average finishes. You just have to look at results, right? So we have proven that with Katherine, with her partners, and with the help that we've gotten because of this situation, that we can put together 20th place finishes or better, right? And with that being the case, I believe we've done our job this year of saying, hey, if there's somebody that wants to go do this, here's your opportunity. We're sitting here. Let's put the partners together and make it happen. And right now, our goals, I want Katherine, as long as she's not in a winning car, I would like to have her at our team. Like she's done an unbelievable job. She's a great professional. She's a real racer to her core, and just, been truly excited about, just honestly enjoyed working with her, and we would definitely want her back for next year. So who knows what'll happen, but she's earned it, we've earned it, and we're definitely looking forward to the future of being exactly what we wanted to set out to be, and that's what we did.
For folks like me that are more casual fans, how do you identify the next big star in those early stages, even before Xfinity, ARCA and what she did, Indy and all these other kind of sports? How do you find those ones that, in those early stages of their career, and how in depth is the scouting process to find that next person that can come to Live Fast and further build the brand and grow the brand and prove that it's a great place, it's a great springboard?
Yeah, I mean, with our sport, since probably 2005, 10, somewhere in that area to now, more of the time than not, people come to you because we only have, 37 or 38 Cup Series teams right now.
Makes it easy.
7.2 billion people, right? So it's, I'd say that more of it comes to us, but once we get presented with an opportunity, I like to talk to whoever the person might be, get a feel for just who they are, because you could be a great race car driver, and for our particular team, if we don't like your attitude, if we don't like the way you live, if we don't like, the way we feel like you might follow through with stuff, then we're out. Like it's not, you could pay $100 million, whatever huge number you want to put on it. It's not about the money. Just like with the coaster, yes, we'd like to make money. If we don't lose money and get to have fun putting smiles on people's faces, we're happy.
Yeah.
Same thing with our race team. Jessica and I feel the same way. We know life is too short to do things you don't like to do, right? And we feel like, if we get the right person and we feel good about going to the racetrack, that's the way we'll do it. And, a big part of that is making sure that they do have raw talent. And without a doubt, I saw what Katherine had accomplished before she come to our team. I knew she had raw talent. There's no doubt. I can argue that with anybody. The next thing is, well, does she have the fire? Is she a professional? How's she handle herself? I spent all of 30 minutes with her before I was convinced of all of those things, that she was either good or exceptional at all of them, right? And, being around her, she has a different feeling that makes her, special. And that's why I was so passionate about trying to help her. So it really comes down to, for Jessica and I, making sure that we are 100% the focus on making sure the person fits the team fits the person, because we have to earn them, right? And when that comes together, do you have the partnership to be successful, or is it a waste of time? And that's where we have to ultimately make a decision. Can we do this or not?
And obviously, without naming names, have there been instances when, there's a possibility of a new talent coming in and you went through this process, you just this is not my kind of driver. This is just not the kind of person.
No, I have 100% told people no, just because of the way I felt. It had nothing to do with money. And vice versa. I mean, I'm a different team owner. I'm not the polo shirt, I'll wear it if I have to, but it's I'm just a different team owner. I know I don't fit the mold, but what you get with me is a passionate, real racer that wants to succeed no matter who you are. I don't care what you come from, where you're at, what you had, what you have, or what you're going to have. If you want it, I want it too. Let's make it happen. Right. And that's the way I've always felt. And there's been some people that I've sat down to talk to and been like, you don't have enough determination to make it out the front door. right? So I was like, you're only here because somebody drug you in here, and I'm out of time. Like I've had that. So regardless, I have no problem speaking that and saying it when I'm in those meetings, and we stop wasting time quickly because it's just who I am, and we move on. So it really, we've been fortunate to pick who we want to work with. And I've enjoyed every single driver I've ever had at BJ McLeod Motorsports or Live Fast Motorsports. Every one of them that have made it through, and we've actually said we would take to the track. I don't have one that I have not enjoyed the relationship. Like it's been the last 15 years of doing this has been an absolute blast and truly valuable looking at what we've done and what we've achieved with all of it.
All right, one last question. Thank you again so much for the time today. So what is an element of owning a team that is really difficult that fans may not understand? Because, as a person that's been a driver at the highest levels, being the quarterback on the football team is a whole lot different than being the athletic director. What are like the toughest challenges you face in the years that you've been an owner at the highest levels?
Yeah, so the toughest thing to face is me being a true racer at heart. Jessica being a true racer after she met me. We've been together 22 years now. And when she got with me, she's like, oh, racing's cool. And then a year after she got with me, she's like, when are we going to the track again? Right. And it's like, it was so cool to see her develop her passion for the sport. But, getting to see, having that passion, if you aren't business smart, you go broke in this sport. You can start with 9 zeros and end up with 8. You can start with 8 and end up with 7. You can start with 7 and end up with 6, and so on. And it's really crazy how you can break yourself no matter how wealthy you are if you just chase wins with an unlimited budget and you don't use business sense. And for Jessica and I, the most difficult part is being real racers and accepting where we're at and what we can actually achieve when we are winners. Before I come to NASCAR as a driver and an owner, I had 300 wins. I had over 100 in Super Late models. I had over 300 in go-karts, had 22 championships, had won everything I'd ever done, and I owned the Super Late during some of that time, right? We went from winning to have an average finish of, in trucks and Xfinity, 22nd, and then Cup 28th, right? And it's like, but you have to accept that, because if you don't, you will go broke and you will leave the sport. Yeah. And it has happened countless times. You can outdollar yourself in a hurry, and that's not, NASCAR does the best job they can at keeping it affordable, but the teams are the ones that price themselves out of business, not NASCAR. Like it's 100% on the team side, and we have control of that being the team owner. And that's what Jessica and I have always done. We've always made sure that we could stay here. We may have lost a little, but we could definitely afford to lose it. We just made sure that we never raced out of our means, just like every human needs to make sure they don't live out of their means, right? Like you're just switching it to the racing world. So that has been, without a doubt, the toughest part, because we have the knowledge to win. I have the friends to win. I just need more funding to be able to make it all happen.